Well, congratulations. You're a new safety manager. You're the new safety manager. Well, the first year is always the hardest. Not because it's hard, because you don't really know what to do, right? You don't know what you don't know. So in this episode, I'm going to count down the 5 most common mistakes that new safety managers make. And this is kind of a big picture look at being a safety manager. Obviously, industries are different, companies are different, cultures are different. But I've had the opportunity to go in a lot of different companies and a lot of different industries. And I can tell you, these 5 mistakes happen over and over and over again. So I'm going to help you jump to the front of the line. In this episode, we're going to clear up exactly where you need to focus, and we're going to jump right in. Let's go. Well, hey, friend, my name is David Sawyer. I'm a safety coach. I help new safety managers go from feeling overwhelmed and underwater to OSHA ready. And I try to do that within 90 days. But not just that, I help you prevent accidents and avoid OSHA. Nobody wants to have an unknown or unforeseen OSHA inspection. Most people don't want an OSHA inspection that they plan, but I help you with both of those. So if you haven't already, go to my website, helpwithosha.com, and you can download a free OSHA audit checklist. This is a great way to go ahead and learn what you don't know about an OSHA inspection. It's a free resource. There's a video that goes along with it where I walk through the different parts of the checklist, and this is a fantastic way to prepare both yourself and your company for an unexpected OSHA visit. Do it today. Helpwithosha.com. Go download and access that right now. All right, so let's jump into the 5 common mistakes, the 5 things that I see new safety managers make. And the overarching feeling around this video is really talking about focusing on safety instead of focusing on compliance. Now, let me explain that. There's a difference. There's a difference between safety and compliance. And sometimes they get conflated together. So what I'm talking about is you should not be the first day on the job sitting in your desk just working on paperwork. That's not what a great safety manager does. A safety manager needs to be out on the floor. They need to be out of their office. They need to be out there on the floor. They need to be talking with employees, talking with supervisors, having a presence on the floor. And that's what we get into the very first mistake that new safety managers make. They get hired and they feel this pressure to perform. And when they feel that pressure to perform, what they do is they turn into the safety cop. Nobody likes the safety cop. You know, I think of the old hall monitor, right? Wasn't something that was very common back in my day, but I know that there was a hall monitor where if you went out, they were going to tell on you. Well, the safety cop has that same kind of feeling. If somebody is doing something wrong, the safety cop's going to catch them, and they're going to write them up, and they're going to get them in trouble. And nobody likes that. So what I would encourage you is, even though you feel the pressure to enforce rules, you haven't established a relationship yet. And rules without a relationship, they just create bitterness. So what you need to do is build rapport and build a relationship so that people know who you are, so that people know that you care about them. And that way you can actually really set the expectations and then follow through with them. So in the first 90 days, I would encourage that you use your ears a lot more than you use your mouth. Observe, watch, get out on the floor, and ask employees, hey, what's the hardest part of your job? What keeps you from doing this safely? What kind of PPE should you be wearing? Ask questions, not to get people in trouble, but to find out what they're really thinking. And what this does, it shifts your mindset from being an enforcer to being a collaborator, to being a coach. You want employees to see you and respect you. But if you want to build your credibility in the first 90 days, you have to be able to ask some questions, to listen, to observe, and to watch, and to know, hey, they've been on the job longer than you have. They've been doing this job longer than you have. And so if they're doing something that doesn't look safe or goes against company policy, I'm not telling you not to speak up and stop it. I'm telling you how you speak up and stop it makes all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. You want to get people on your side. You want to win them over, and the best way to win them over is to show them you care about them. So that's the first one. Don't be a safety cop. Nobody likes a safety cop. Now, the next one is something I call using safety speak. Now, what exactly is safety speak? Safety speak is any lingo that you wouldn't use with somebody that wasn't a safety professional. So we don't want to use words that are talking about OSHA citations. We don't want to use things talking about injury rates, DART rate, all the insider terminology. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. If you go to a safety conference and you're talking with other safety managers, then yeah, maybe that's when that matters. But trust me, when you're talking to employees, to supervisors, to managers, and to leadership, you need to be speaking in terms of their business, in terms of their bottom line. And so what you have to do is you have to frame whatever the safety speak is, frame it to fit the business. Frame it so they understand what you're talking about. Now, as an example of this, I'd say if you need them to invest in a new piece of equipment because you realize, hey, there is a major problem here. We're having this noise is so loud in this one department because the equipment doesn't have a sound barrier around it. Well, you don't go in there and go, hey, this exceeds the 90 decibels. And instead of putting people in hearing conservation and having a hearing conservation program and doing audiometric testing, and instead of using all this safety speak, you could simply say, listen, if we would invest this $500, we would save over $5,000 when it comes to instituting a hearing conservation program. Meaning, I'm telling you, I can save you money if you do it this way. One thing I've learned over the last 15 plus years working in safety, there's always more than one way to fix a problem. Sometimes we go in and we say, this is the way it needs to be done. I'm telling you, you got managers, you got people in maintenance, you got people in engineering, you got people in quality that can help you find a solution that solves the safety problem, but also just works better with their organization, with your organization now, because you're new, you're here. All right, number 3, the third mistake that gets made, and this happens when you get overwhelmed. It just does. You turn from being proactive to reactive, and you're fighting fires, man. You're out there and you're trying to fix what happened that morning. You're trying to fix what happened that afternoon. You're coming in early because something happened on second shift and you got to fix it. Some of that has to be done. But if you're fighting fires all day, every day, 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, you're going to get burned out. You can't do that day in and day out. I don't care how busy the company is or how big the company is. If you're fighting fires every single day, you will get burned out. And the second thing I can promise you, the fires are going to keep coming because you're not preventing them. You have to be proactive to prevent. So when you first come on the job, sometimes it's overwhelming. You're going, oh my gosh, we got this issue, we got this issue, we got this issue. Take a deep breath and prioritize. Where are people going to get seriously hurt? Where are people getting frequently hurt? Focus on those areas and avoid them. So, one thing I'd tell you is a great way to do this is start trying to focus in on near misses more than just the accidents. You have to have an accident reporting system where people are reporting accidents. And, I always say, always report it to your immediate supervisor. Lots of times companies have QR codes on the wall where they can scan it and they can report it into some kind of system or tracking method. But what I'm telling you is if you're just tracking accidents, you're missing a ton of close calls and near misses. And you want employees to tell you when something is unsafe before there's an accident. When I go into a company and I do a mock OSHA audit, I always frame that audit as the goal is to find problems before they become accidents, right? I want to find the problem. I want to find the electrical problem before somebody gets shocked. I want to find the problem before there's a fire. So we're going to have to focus on where are the incidents, where are the near misses, and have a system of reporting and capturing that data. And that way you can point yourself into things that could be proactive to prevent the fires from popping up. And I'm saying fires figuratively, hopefully not literally. All right, number 4. The fourth mistake new managers make, and I'm going to say using generic safety training. But what I mean by generic is not having things that match the company. Okay? So I'm talking about, I've seen safety trainers roll into a company. Now follow me on this because this sounds hard to believe, but I've seen safety trainers roll into a company and literally bring their own TV and their own VCR to play a safety video that was made in the 80s. All right. Well, hey, welcome to 2025 or 26 or 27 or whenever you're watching this, but we should not be using VHS tapes in safety training. If we're using VHS tapes, we got a problem because something has not been updated in the past 30 years. So we want to use safety training that fits the company. Now, perfect example of this, I work with some organizations that use LMS systems. And LMS systems, learning management systems, I think is the acronym. They do a great job of giving you compliance-focused training. Now, if you know me, you know that kind of irks me because I'm not all about compliance. I'm about preventing accidents. They're not always the same thing. I had a company one time recently that was doing LMS training with their employees, and they had an issue. They had an outside set of eyes come in, and they said, "Hey, you're not doing your lockout tag out the way you're supposed to be doing your lockout tag out." And they pulled up the training records. Okay, we got all the training records. Everybody's done. But they were using generic safety training. The employees didn't remember it. They didn't apply it. They didn't use it. They probably were asleep when they did it. And so it was worthless, even though they had a nice little check in the box on the paperwork. That's why it's so critical that we are actually verifying the training works in the real world. So what I would encourage you to do, if you're a new safety manager and you go, what kind of safety training do we need? Institute a weekly or a monthly safety talk so that you can talk about issues that are actually applicable to the company. So if your company is using tons of pallet jacks, hey, we're going to talk about pallet jacks. We're going to talk about training new operators. We're going to talk about some near misses. We're going to talk about pallet jacks. So stick to training that fits what is going to prevent an accident at your company. Now, the fifth one that we've got here. Ooh, this is a good one. Underestimating the power of a supervisor. So, when you are new, you have a lot of people coming and talking to you in leadership. You got higher ups talking to you. You've got corporate people talking to you. You've got goals. You've got expectations. You've got things that you're working on. These initiatives are coming from above, right? You kind of feel that pressure. That's why you turn into the safety cop. But that pressure you're feeling is coming from up there. And then you've got all kinds of people that you're watching, the workers, the employees, the people that are out there doing the job, and you're focused on them. And you have a tendency to focus on the top and to focus on them working on the floor, and you totally miss the value that is in the supervisor or the manager of that area. A department manager has more pull than anybody because they're the immediate superior of everybody on that floor. And I'll just tell you, if that supervisor doesn't buy into safety, you are wasting your time trying to talk to the employees about it. You're wasting your time. I've seen this more times than I can count, where I've gone in and I see an employee that is like, oh man, you're perfect for the safety committee. You are action-oriented, you're goal-oriented, you care about safety, you came from a company that valued safety, and I pull that person out and I put them on the safety committee, and I'm like, yes, this is going to rock. You're going to help us create an atmosphere of safety in your department, right? Boom. And then they come to the first meeting. Maybe they come to the second meeting. And by the third safety committee meeting, they're not there anymore. Do you know why? Because their supervisor said, hey, you are an all-star employee. I'm not wasting you in a safety committee meeting. Think about that. Think about that. The supervisor says, you're an all-star employee. I'm not wasting you in a safety committee. Meaning, I'm going to use you out here on the floor. You're way more valuable to me doing your job than wasting your time in a safety committee. Do you see why that buy-in is so important? You have got to get buy-in and communication with the managers and supervisors. I would say that is probably, that and the maintenance are the two most valuable relationships you are going to form at the organization. So I could do a whole separate video on this, but as a safety manager, you need to know the managers and the supervisors in the departments you're working with, and they need to know you, like you, trust you, and want you to succeed. Because if they have that passion for safety, then they're going to be willing to put their credibility behind it, their clout behind it. If they see this as just another flavor of the month, they're not going to give you what you need. And the flip side to that, one way you build credibility with managers and supervisors is you actually tell them, hey, I'm going to do this to make your job easier. Because we all know their job is not easy, right? They got the same problem. They got a whole bunch of employees they're trying to please, and they got that pressure coming down from leadership they're trying to please. They're in the middle. That's why they're middle management. And so anything you can do to make their job easier, if you say, hey, we're going to start doing safety training this way because I want to make your job easier. I'm going to start working in safety training around the production schedule because I want to make your job easier. I'm going to offer 2 different training sessions because I want to make your job easier. If you can do that, you're going to get more buy-in from them. All right. So, quick recap on the 5 common mistakes that are made. Number 1, being a safety cop. Don't be a safety cop. Number 2, speaking safety speak instead of business language. Number 3, being reactive instead of proactive, running around putting out fires and not actually focusing on what's causing the fires. Number 4, relying on generic safety training that's old and outdated and doesn't fit the company. And the 5th one is underestimating the power and the pull of the supervisor, making sure that managers and supervisors buy into safety. Those are the 5 mistakes that new safety managers make, and they have a residual effect for months and months and years to come. So we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to prevent that from happening. If you have found this training helpful, if this has resonated with you, I would highly encourage you to check out my new coaching program called Safety Starting Point. Safety Starting Point is a program I put together for new safety managers that is 90 days long. And in those 90 days, you go from feeling overwhelmed and out of control to confident and OSHA ready. You're gonna have this transformation where you go from stressed to, hey, I know what I'm doing. And in that whole process, you're going to get tools, you're going to get coaching, you're going to get information you need to make your job better and be successful as a safety manager. It is a fantastic career to get into. If you have been doing it somewhere else for a while and you're new at your company, I would encourage you get this training. It will help you out a lot with this coaching package. Now, until we talk again, do everything you can to keep the people you work with safe, because no one should get stuck or hurt at work.